Hey, what's going on, folks? Just wanted to start this video out with a prime example of the topic for today. This beautiful large hippo tang has actually been with us for I don't know, at least a few years, anyways. So just to back up a little bit, the topic of the video today is leveling up your hobby, leveling up the aquarium industry, and even the environmental impacts of proper fish quarantine. It's kind of a lot to take apart here and get into, but hopefully I'll be able to hit some good points and make that make sense. And that actually does tie in a little bit to the next topic for the next video that I'm going to do, which is going to be titled The Dirty Little Secret of the Aquarium Industry. Alright, yeah, a little bit of a risque title, but that'll make more sense once we get that video out for you. So, anyways, like I was saying, this guy's been with us for a few years now. Not here in the store, but started out in our quarantine system after we had acquired it. We ran it through our process for quarantine. Then it went to the client, and the client had it for a number of years. And then client ended up having to shut the tank down to do some work on the house, and he or she is here, and I don't know, that's probably about a 5, almost 6-inch fish. I don't know how well you can quite tell. There's not much for scale in here, but looks really good. Not a lot of blemishes. As you can see, this is a happy, healthy fish. If I had any food in my hand to drop it in, you'd see that you'd see it go nuts for it. But I didn't think to have that in hand, and didn't want to really be standing here with frozen food melting in my hand as I chat here. But anyways, I digress. So again, the topic is proper quarantine, and the reason why that's so important. That's something that I get asked a lot in the store, is why is quarantine so important? I'll stop harassing this poor guy. It's like, why am I on camera? So I'll do him a solid. I'll put myself on camera. So sorry about. All right. I tried to turn the blues down. You know, blue light aquatics and whatnot. You can kind of see that by all the like blue glowing stuff around here. That's where we get the name from. But try to put myself on a light where I don't look like a blue man here. But anyways, yeah. Why is quarantine important? Why is it a big deal in the industry, and why is it a big deal for the environment? So the reason why I think that is the case is because you can pretty much have a tank and just get lucky, right? That's kind of how a lot of people do it, right? They'll go to the store, they see a fish that looks good. What's the old adage of, oh yeah, like have the guy at the store or gal throw some food in there and see if the fish is going to eat. If he's eating well, it should be good to take home. And that's kind of where most people leave it. Unfortunately, the problem is that you can get away with that for quite a while, and there's a lot of things that go into it too. You can have a fish that comes in carrying a parasite or some kind of disease, and you'll have no issues in the tank for some time. The fish may just kind of fight it off, or the fish might even show some signs of it. You may see some quote-unquote ick, or some other white spotted parasite, or some other evidence, and then next thing you know, you have a power outage, or some kind of stress factor hits the tank, and all of a sudden everybody's coming down with stuff, and once it gets going, it runs rampant and wipes out the tank, and you've got some huge losses. Or I don't know if I've already said this here already, but you know, sometimes you get that tank where you just are lucky, you're fortunate, things are going smooth, no issues, and you bring that one last goby home that's got something nasty on it. One of the more insidious ones is uranema. That's one that we deal with, or we look out for quite a bit, because once that gets in, it's in. There's no running the tank fallow. There's really not a lot you can do to treat it in the tank. Once it gets in your system, it's in the system. You know, we can go down another rabbit hole of like you know, treating with hydrogen peroxide, or kind of living with uranema in the system and that sort of thing. Certain fish that maybe are less susceptible to it, so on and so forth. UV sterilizers, but kind of the best thing is the ounce of prevention, right? Just don't let it get in the first place. So that's really where the quarantine comes into play. And we get this question a lot here in the store, in the business, a little bit less with service clients because they're kind of used to it at this point. And they want to know, what's the scoop? Why do we go through all this trouble to do the quarantine? And the sourcing of it too. We actually, just getting the fish in the first place, we're quite cautious about where we get our fish from too, because that plays a big part in it. If you don't get a healthy animal to begin with, chances are all the quarantine in the world isn't really going to do you any good. So it's pretty important to trust your vendors. Gosh, I've been doing this for 30 years now. My gosh, yeah. Quite literally, I've been in this industry for a little over 30 years, and we've built up some good relationships. We have some good vendors and some great excuse me, some great vendors, and that's the start of the process. So we start there. We bring them in. We run a process of quarantine. You can go to the website. On our website, bluelightaqua.com. There's kind of a breakdown. It's the page on the website's a little antiquated. I have to get in there and revamp some things. And one other thing to kind of make note of is that, along with what's in the process on the website, is that that's kind of a generalization. So there's going to be some more specific things, like we're going to run treatments on, say, a group of green chromis differently than we are for, say, a wrasse or a copper band butterfly that might come in, or our freshwater versus our saltwater, or our corals and things like that. Everything needs to come in and be quarantined before it's going to be ready to go out to a client's tank or to a customer's tank. And so why does that level up your hobby? Well, quite simply put, it's going to give you some longevity in the hobby. If you love keeping fish, or maybe you don't know that you love keeping fish, but you go to the store and you have a bad experience because you bring something nasty home and it just wipes out your whole tank, you're just going to throw your hands up and say, no, this isn't for me, this stinks, and I'm done wasting money on it. So that's not a good place to be. And how does it level up the industry? Well, it's precisely the same thing. You keep customers if you keep them happy, and if people are dropping out of the hobby, that's really not doing much for the industry, quite literally. You know, if you, as a business, if you don't have customers, you don't have a business. So it's pretty important to keep customers and clients successful, keep them happy, keep their tanks in good shape. And the only way to do that is to make sure that the nasties stay out. And then environmentally, that's also a question that that I said I would kind of answer at the start of this video. And simply put, environmentally speaking, if we're keeping the stuff alive that we take from the wild, we're not taking as much stuff out of the wild. It's pretty basic, right? So if you put it simply, bring stuff in, you keep it alive, and it's going to last a long time. Some fish more than others, of course, but gosh, we've still got some clownfish in our tanks in captivity that we've had for going on 16 plus years at this point. So it's kind of crazy how long some of these guys can live. And if you buy them once, you're not going to the store, bringing it home, oops, it died, I'm killing fish. Go back to the store, get your refund, get your 7-day guarantee or whatever it is, and then replace and replace and replace. And that might be good for some stores. There's another little kind of nod to next week's topic on the dirty little secret of the aquarium industry. But anyways, yeah, if you're just buying it once, it's just like anything else. You know, if you get a lawnmower and you got to replace it every year, you're kind of spending more money on lawnmowers than you would if you just bought one good one and kept taking good care of it and keeping it going and so on and so forth. So so that's where we're at as far as those particular questions. So for the quarantine process, there's a number of things that you want to keep in mind. Again, I kind of always go back to this this uranema, but there's also other things too, like the like ick, brook, things of that nature that can kind of sneak in on things that you wouldn't expect, like your corals, your invertebrates. That can happen too. So it's also important to run quarantine for those guys. And at the store level, take that extra step. For us, we have a completely separate building that everything gets quarantined in before it comes to the store. Actually, I take that back. I shouldn't say everything. We do our freshwater fish. They get quarantined right here in the store, but I won't get too detailed about it. But actually, I can flip the camera. But as we finish building this out, you're going to see that each of these tanks is filtered and maintained individually on a will be on a water change system. It's not on a, well, I am the water change system right now. So they're individual tanks, and so if we bring fish in, freshwater fish in, and something's wrong with them, it's going to stop basically there. And I do, believe it or not, painstakingly, I don't transfer the equipment from one tank to the next. We also mark on each, actually let me flip the camera real quick. We'll mark on each tank the date of the last arrival. And I don't know if you can see on that one, we're going to mark the medications that are being used and the dates of the medication that are being used if they require that. So that's part of the process that we do here. But our saltwater fish, they get done over in Hollis in a completely separate building. So that's pretty cool. So as far as cross-contamination goes, it's not going to transfer from there to here as long as we make sure they're clean before they come here. And that's a whole other process too, as far as acquiring the fish, bringing them in, getting them eating, getting them happy, and then starting the process. We use a combination of, I try to avoid copper as much as I can, as I know it's very effective, but I'll tend to use more of like Paragard in the process. We'll use hydrogen peroxide in the process. We do a few rounds of dewormer with praziquantel, as well as feeding them foods that are soaked in I can't say the whole word. Metroplex. So that's the product we use. Metronidazole. There we go. Along with the Focus, the C-Chem products there, we use that to try to flush the gut out and get the nasties out of the gut. So that is a part of our process. These are all things that you can do at home too. And we'll do a series of dips as well as needed for uranema, and also for worm control, flukes, things like that. We'll do freshwater dips, so try to kind of run the gamut of different things, and we cater that to certain fish too. Oh, I should mention as well, like I said, I don't like to use copper, so I'm bouncing around a little bit here to try to keep myself out of the blue light. I notice I keep switching between here. But part of that process is a process called tank transfer method, and what that is the fish basically move from one, we call them cubicles. We get these little tanks that are on racks in the quarantine system, and so the fish stay in their own, each individual fish has its own little cubicle, and every day or every other day, depending, is they will get a water change done, 100% water change, and moved into a clean, new, fresh cubicle that's been rinsed out. And the idea there is that as the parasites, when you take something like an ick parasite, the white cyst that you see on the fish is not actually the parasite. It's a cyst that drops off the fish, breaks open, free swimming stage, goes out and attacks and attaches to the fish and repeats that process, and that's the life cycle of the animal in a very kind of like rudimentary way. But for the sake of keeping this video under X amount of time, we'll leave it at that. Plus, I mean, I don't have notes in front of me, so I couldn't give you all those details. But long story short, parasite drops off, or I'm sorry, the cyst drops off, the parasite comes out and starts looking for a new host. And so if you can break that life cycle up, you can effectively treat for things like ick without having to use a chemical, which in the case of a chemical like using copper is that it basically just kills the free swimming stage, stops that process. So that's how we do it. We do the tank transfer, and then once we run them through the various steps along the way. And again, check the website if you're interested in that, as well as look at other quarantine facilities too, like Marine Collectors is one. I think there's another one called like Dr. Fish. These guys that do a really comprehensive job. I would say probably even better than we do, because they're doing it at a bigger scale than we do. So check them out, because that's what I'll do, like for my clients. If I can't get them to fish in time, I'll recommend that they check those out, as opposed to say going to a big box store or someplace that doesn't do the quarantine. And yeah, I mean, you're going to save money by going to a pet, or a one of the big box stores, or a pet store if they don't do quarantine. Because you know what, if I bring a fish in and I just flip it after a couple of days, my costs are astronomically lower than if I got to hold on to them for literally a minimum of a month before I try to even attempt to sell them. All the quality foods that go into it. Oh, speaking of the cubicles, we feed live brine shrimp as well. So on top of feeding them just prior to their water change with something like LRS or Hikari products, PE mysis, whatever the fish would need given the specific fish, we're also keeping live brine shrimp in their bins as well. Live, freshly hatched baby brine, because it's super easy. We're keeping that in there as well, so that they're able to kind of constantly feed or at their leisure, and it's something that's not going to just be like a rotting product in the bottom, like if we just left frozen food in there or pellets or something like that. So that's an important part of it too. Keep them well fed so they can produce their slime coat and do their own natural kind of flushing of parasites that are trying to attach to the skin, and also keeping their immune system up in general, so they're not getting secondary infections and so on and so forth. So that's also important. But so yeah, so I would say as a store, it's just a difference of philosophy. I always say we're a service company with the store, as opposed to a retail store that does service. We're doing this anyways for the service clients. We want to bring that to the customer as well. Again, you're going to see the prices are higher. That's to be expected, in my opinion. You want a better quality, like that analogy I made earlier with the lawnmower. You're not going to get a high quality lawnmower at the same price that you would get the cheapo that you have to replace that falls apart every year, and you need to buy a new one every spring or something. It's just not, you got to pay for the added time. We invest product, meds, water, higher quality food, hatching the shrimp, doing the water changes every day. I figured out, of course, it's a business. I know what we invest in each container, but I don't remember the number off the top of my head per month. So it's something in the ballpark of like 15 or 20 bucks for the duration of the quarantine that goes into those products. If I remember correctly, I think it's something like that. So right out the gate, we're already putting an additional 15, 20 bucks into each fish that comes to the store or goes out to a client, above and beyond what the regular markup would be for those fish. So that's pretty significant. And again, environmentally, let's take less stuff out. I'm all for collection. That's a big part of what we do in our process, is getting the stuff sourced properly in the first place. But the less we need to take due to negligence and due to unnecessary losses, I think that's just better in general. We're bringing these things in from the wild. We're taking them from their home. We want to give them the best possible home we can, and that all starts with keeping them healthy and making sure they're well taken care of. So anyways, that is pretty much my spiel on the quarantine process, why we do it. If you did like this video, if you got something out of it, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to this channel. We're going to keep putting out more and more and more and more and more. Sorry, from Billerica. More and more product. Not product. what's the word, content that we have. So we're gonna keep putting stuff out like this, try to get some education out there, give people an idea as to why we do what we do and why we think and do it differently. And hopefully you can get something out of it. So please do like and subscribe, as they say on the other videos that I watch. If you have stuff that you're interested in, please let me know. The comments and things of that nature, that's how I'm going to get my ideas for more topics. But the next topic that I'm going to talk about in the next video is very, very highly related to this whole quarantine thing. Again, dirty little secret of the aquarium industry, maybe the whole pet industry, I don't know. I'm not in the whole pet industry, I'm a fish guy, so that's going to be the next video. Definitely check it out. Not trying to make it seem more like nefarious as than what it actually is, but it's a matter of philosophy, and again, we're different. And I like to think that other people have the good morals and all that sort of thing, so, you know, check that out. But that's all I got, and we will catch ya later.